Hi guys, this is Impatient again, and the video I have for you here is on my UI and add-ons. On my Demonology guide, I had several requests for the Weakauras I use, for the add-ons I use, and I figured I would go ahead and give you my combat add-ons to help you out to deal damage as a Demonology Warlock. I'll put a list of these add-ons that are important in the description, and I will also give you some links to Weakauras strings so you can recreate the Weakauras I have here. So without further ado, let's kind of get into it. I'll open up my Weakauras for you and show you everything I use. Everything you see here is an individual Weakaura. These three is another add-on, which I'll go over in just a minute. But everything you see here, these Weakauras here, and all of this are all individual Weakaura strings. The first and foremost is going to be my Demonic Fury bar. Demonic Fury bar and these two other Weakaura strings that go along with it were made by a guy on MMO Champion called I will put a link to his post on MMO Champion where you can find it. Definitely give him love. He's the one that made this, and it's definitely made my life easier. So definitely go check that out. But that's where you can find that string. But he has made this awesome combo of three Weakauras that all work in concert together. The first is the Demonology bar, Demonic Fury bar. What it does is it shows this blue bar. Now I will close my Weakauras. This blue bar shows how much Fury you need for the next Demon Bolt, and it changes based on the stack. So if I cast this one Demon Bolt here, as you see, it makes the bar longer. It tells you need 160 Fury, and that way you know how much Demonic Fury you need based on your stack. So you don't have to think, oh man, I'm on stack 2, I need 160 Fury. It actually just shows you that. It also shows you how much Fury you have currently, and as you see here, when it started out, the blue bar was not as long as the purple Fury bar, and it actually grew. So you can see how much Fury you have visually versus how much Fury you need for the Demon Bolt cast. And as you see here, once the debuff fell off, it lowered the bar again, shortened it, and you just see that very visually. That's very helpful for casting Demon Bolt. The other two Weakauras I use is these two strings that has created. These are pretty much the same thing. The difference being is that the one on top means that it either needs to be applied or that the cooldown is up. So like whenever I can use Rastorm, it actually shows it. Whenever a corruption needs to be applied, it shows that it's not on the target. It shows that Doom's not on the target, and it shows me the amount of stacks I have for my Hand of Gul'dan. And I've actually tested this on the PTR. This will actually still show you, it will show you 3. This is updated and will work with the 4-piece tier set bonus. So you can still use this once you get your tier piece bonus. But this Weakaura on the top shows you what's activated, what needs to be activated, what needs to be applied. The one on the bottom is basically when a dot is on the target. It shows you how long it's going to be on the target, and when it's about to fall off. It shows the cooldowns of Hand of Gul'dan and Rastorm so that you know when to prepare to use those. And it basically, these two add-on Weakauras work in concert with one another to allow you to know when things are coming. So that you know when you need to be ready to reapply dots, when you need to know when to start casting your first Hand of Gul'dan. That will show you what you need there. So that's that Weakaura right here. The one I have right above it is a bar I created. It's a progress bar. Very simple debuff on target bar that shows only my Hand of Gul'dan. I will put that Weakaura string in the description. Just a very simple bar, shows you the distance. It's small, but I can see it. But right here on the end is actually a number. This will actually change from 1. Whenever I have it here, it's 1 now. If I hit it again, it will actually change to 2. As you can see it's very small, but it's something that I noticed. I wanted it small and out of the way, but it'll actually show you how many stacks are on the target. So if you happen to mess up your stacks, it'll show, oh wait, there's one and it's about to fall off. You'll know whether or not to actually wait for your Hand of cooldown, or whether or not you need to go ahead and cast it. That's that Weakauras. The other major one that people asked about is my Demon Bolt icon. All it is just an icon that shows that debuff on that I have. So whenever the debuff goes up, it pops up. The number on the left is my stacks. The number on my right is the duration for how long it's going to be. These two I created myself, as well as my Trinket on use timers. These are very simple. You just go and you create an icon. You create two. The first one is very simply just a buff. You find out what buff it gives you. You use that as your aura, and I choose to move the text position to the center, and I make the icon bigger. Excuse me. And you will find that that's what you need for the activatable portion. So when you use it, that'll pop up this. So like on my Shards of Nothing, this pack pops up and says it's activated. The other that you need to do is, instead of an aura, you do a status and change the status to cooldown progress item, and then you just type in Shards of Nothing. So as you see here, it's Shards of Nothing, and it just shows me how long until it's off cooldown. Those are the 4 Weakauras I've created for my Warlock. These I've gotten from This Dark Soul counter, there's actually one for each of the 3 specs you can find on MMO Champion. I'll put a link to it in the description as well, but that's just a simple Dark Soul cooldown. It tells you the stacks, it tells you how long, and whenever you use it, it tells you how long until the next one pops up. So it tells you everything all in one little icon right there together. These 3 are actually not Weakauras. This is actually an add-on called Extra Cooldown. What Extra Cooldown does is Extra Cooldown gives you items that are proc items with internal cooldowns. It can track, so it'll do like the ring. It'll do this is my weapon enchant. This is my inscription trinket. It'll do those. It can also do like when the legendary gem was in SOO, when we had those in Mist, it would show you that proc. It will, if you have an item set proc that has an internal cooldown, it will show you that. So like for the 2-piece for destruction, where it was you had the extra crit, it would show you how long you had on that internal cooldown. It'll show you talents. It'll show you spec specific cooldowns if you so choose it to. Like as an example, I hit spec, it shows Imp Swarm and shows you when Imp Swarm's up. I use this basically just for proc trinkets, just to show me when it's going to pop back up. For the procs, it will actually show you RPPMs. It'll show you how many procs you gain as you go along. So like at 1.9 procs per minute is the highest for the ring. It'll show you that, and once you use it and it procs, it'll actually grow that number back up, so you know how close you're getting to that coming back up. It gives you a good idea of when these are going to come up for you and when you need to use them. That's the majority of everything I use. Just like most other raiders, I use DBM for bars and warnings. I use an add-on called GTFO, which yells at me whenever I'm standing in things. Another add-on I use is Class Timer. What Class Timer does is it allows me, when I set a focus, it allows me to track that separately. Since I don't always have a focus to swap between, I don't use an actual Weakaura for it. I just use this little add-on to track that. So if I'm doing damage on this target, I use this, and then I can swap and say, okay, that's fallen off, time to put that on there. And this just gives me the dot timers from my focus. That's what I use Class Timer for. Use These right here is Kui Nameplates. I use that to show different dots on the targets visually if I'm just looking out like for doing trash, and I can tell very quickly if there's dots on the targets. So that's what that does. I also use OmniCC, which basically just gives me a cooldown on top of my spells and abilities and shows whenever they're going to come back up, and I find that helpful. And then of course I use Skada as my damage meter. The one add-on that I will mention as a aside that I think is very important for Blackrock Foundry is an add-on called Thogar Assist, and I will see if I can pop that up there for you. Thogar show. Alright, what this add-on does is on the Operator Thogar fight, what it will do is it will basically, if you're safe, the train will show blue. So like if you're standing on line 4, it'll show blue if there's not a train coming. If there's a train coming, it'll show red and tell you that you need to move away. If you're not standing on it and a train's coming, it'll show yellow and then orange, saying that it's about to show up. So this basically just gives you a visual to see when a train's coming, when to move, and definitely an honorable mention for this raid tier with Blackrock Foundry as an add-on to have. Anyway, that's my add-ons I use for combat. Pretty much for everything else, it's just cosmetic, like Sexy Map and Bartender 4 and Pitbull. That's all personal preference on how you want your UI to look. I don't use a raid frame add-on. I actually just use the ones that are built into Blizzard UI, because all I really need to know is when somebody is dead and whenever I need to cast Soulstone on them. That's pretty much all I use raid frames for on this character, and that's so you don't really need a dedicated raid frame for anything for dealing damage, just for utility for your raid. But anyway, that's my add-ons. I did want to give a quick shout out and thanks to everyone that viewed my Demonology video. I never expected it to reach 1,000 views. I was expecting 40 or 50, and I got a message on my phone today saying it hit 1,000 and was ecstatic. So thank you so very much for all the views, all the comments and subscribes I've gotten. You make doing these videos a lot of fun, and I hope that I was able to help somebody out and give some useful information. Alright guys, this has been the video on my UI and add-ons. As always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And if you have any specific questions that you need as far as logs, you can email those to runofthemillgaming@yahoo.com. Alright guys, have a good day.